So I got the idea for this video a couple days ago when I saw an SMS cord a request from Schmidt D asking to analyze his failed attempt at the Nokia 6 green cycle and like see why he was losing time, see how he could do faster, make the cycle, whatever. And I was like, cool, I like doing that. I like comparing stuff and trying to find time loss and helping people. It's all cool. I thought, great, I'll do this. And I watched it, I helped him, and it was cool. And I was like, yeah, you're going slow here, you do this a little faster, and he was right on from there. He figured out how to do it faster, and he was able to do green cycle. And I was like, cool, that's great. I like this. I thought, it's cool if I do it. It's cool if I help somebody, but like, I feel like it's also important that people be able to do this for themselves, because I can't always, you can't always just ask somebody to help you, be like, hey, where am I going slow? It's just not practical. So I want to give you guys the tools to do this yourself. This is kind of aimed at like the beginner to intermediate area. Probably if your PB is in like the 125 to 119 area, something like that. But I'm sure there's like good advice. I'm sure people like with better PBs than that can still learn something from this. Basically, the idea is that you can optimize your levels or find your time loss. You don't have to be, some elite IL monkey, who just grinds ILs all day. You don't have to just grind your butt off. But there is a method that can help you find time loss and help you go a little bit faster. And this isn't for like frame savers. This isn't like, yes, I've lost one frame to this rollout, I ate some dust, Like, that's cool and all, but I realize not everybody cares about that. That's not the aim of this. It's not like frame things. It's more like, okay, where do I lose half a second, because that's a meaningful thing, or like a full second, and this can help you identify it. So, one, I want to show like how simple it is to do this. Two, how quick it is, because we're not just going to go frame by frame the whole time and watching like uber slow motion and take like an hour. It's not that crazy. And like lastly, it helps a lot. Like, I had a recent IL grind where I was working on Pianta 6 and like I was playing for like hours and hours and hours, and I was like, oh man, I'm still going pretty slow, and eventually I just bit the bullet, and I was like, okay, I should actually compare to a different time. And using this method, using this pretty much exact method, I was like, oh, well, I lose like this much on, well, I'll get into it. But anyway, so yeah, the example here is Nokia 6 green cycle, which itself is a strat and not like a straight line optimization level, but you do have to move optimally to get the strat. So it's like kind of two different things. Like, I'm not talking about strats. Like, you don't have to incorporate new strats to save times, but it is like, in this case, it is a strat kind of. Let's see. So that's a little loud. Sorry, audio setup is weird. Anyway, so what are we trying to do here? So let's just, I had this on 0.5. Let's just watch and just kind of go from there. We'll get into the methodology here. So, normal green cycle attempt, dive, roll out, spin, jump out of the cube, or out of the fishbowl rather. And so does not successfully hit green cycle. Now, he's like fairly close. A couple frames sooner, and maybe he'd be able to like do a jump there. So people who are experienced in the level probably could already tell where the time loss is. People who just like know green cycle. But what do you do if you don't know green cycle? Like, how do you figure this out? Like, obviously you can ask somebody, but how could you figure this out on your own, right? The first step is establish a baseline. Like, how much time are you losing? And for this, you just need two reference points. The first one is just going to be the first, beginning of the level. The second one, we're just going to have it be just green cycle. Now, you can apply this to like a full level where you can be like, okay, my final time is 31.5, and the RTA record is 30.62, right? And you can compare those, right? But we're just looking at green cycle, so we're just doing this 16-second segment here. right? And so what do you want to compare to? What, you know, you could look at like the IL record or something like that, or just the RTA strat record, or just somebody you want to compare to, somebody who you'd like to be as fast as. You know, I personally use Foundry Gun for a lot of my comparisons because he'll do the strats that I do, but faster, so it's very helpful. But I'm just going to go to the IL sheet, sunmar.io/IL, and probably the best place for just to look at this stuff is go to the RTA sheet. So we're going to scroll down to Nokia 6, inside, green cycle right here, and you can see you got the tab for the RTA world record, which happens to be the Foundry Gun one right here. Like I said, great content in these, in this column, with like, he'll do like easier strats, but he'll also like do them quickly, so you can see how to do those strats quickly if you're still using those strats. I mean, it's like you can still be fast without necessarily upgrading strats. Anyway, we'll load this up. This is a good example, and we can, you know, the most basic thing you might think to do is, okay, I'll just watch. I'm kind of going out of order here, but like the idea is that if you don't know where to save time, you don't know where, like it's hard to figure out just by watching. So I was saying earlier we want reference points, right? So we're comparing this point, and I'm just going to compare to when they leave the ground here. Another thing, the speed and position codes are really helpful here, because Mario's off camera, kind of, but with the speed codes I can actually see when he leaves the ground, which is the UV speed. Anyway, we can see that Schmidt has lost about a second in this segment here. So how do you go about finding out where that second is, or where the majority of it is? We want to cut it in half. That's the next step. So we just need to find a logical point somewhere in the middle. And you might say like, okay, 7.5 seconds, because it's 15 seconds or 16 seconds. But like, really, this first half is kind of similar. To me, like the logical point of the middle is like getting on this rope. Like, I know it's not half of the level, but like, and you could look at different checkpoints here, but this is like the important one. When you look for a stable reference, you want something that's like very concrete, you know, like a ledge grab, or like a red coin grab, or yeah, landing, or like getting on a rope. So this is a really good place to compare. We'll just see where both of these guys are at here. And we can see about a 0.3 difference. So Foundry Gun's about 0.3 ahead, right? So already we know, okay, there's 0.3 in this first half, this first 10 seconds, but there's 0.7 then in the second half. So in the next 5 seconds, he's going to lose 0.7. And so if this is a longer segment, you can like cut it in half again. We can see like, okay, like what's another good checkpoint? You know, maybe this jump is a good checkpoint, right? So we can see when they start the spin jump. And this actually is like a 1.3 second difference, which should seem weird to you because he was only a second behind later. But this is just because this is actually not a very stable reference. You can do this spin jump for multiple points, you know. You see they'll probably land in a little bit different places. Like Schmidt, I think, yeah, I don't know. It's just a little bit variable. So you just want to watch out for that, like that you're not using a reference that's super unstable. But, you know, even just looking at this, we can tell like, okay, yeah, 1.3 behind, you know, that's got to be either on the rope or the ramp, right? So we'll just go chronologically, right, and see. So we can watch this again, and it might be good to just, yeah, we'll just watch. So we'll watch both. We'll just see, okay, what's different. You probably can tell just from that what's different. It's probably not too hard at that point if you're just looking at 1 second. But you can also like slow it down just to watch, and you'll start to see things once you slow things down. Check this out. He actually walks forward a little bit. Might not have seen that at full speed, but once he gets on the rope, he walks forward a little bit, turns, and he's like standing there a little bit before the jump goes off, right? So you can you can tell that that's going to lose a lot of time. So Foundry Gun turns instantly, jumps instantly. Like, this is also 0.5. They're both in 0.5. And so we can then compare, like, what's the frame that they both jump off of this, right? And so that's a 0.8 difference. So we can see that just in this one action, going from the ground pound to the jump, there's a half a second deficit, right? So that's huge, right? With, what, 5 minutes of work, you know, not even, if you're not explaining this to somebody. You could do this in like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and you can find out, oh, hey, well, that's where I'm losing the most time, right? And from there, you know, it's going to be different, obviously, per level, how you need to improve it. In this case, you know, he needs to, basically it's like a control stick angle plus camera angle type deal to where he's not going to be doing this little walk, and then probably needs to just like be mashing A right here, or buffer the A input. The dive is also kind of important, but like not as important, you know. The half a second, you want to focus on that biggest possible like optimization you can do, you know. And again, you know, he doesn't have to do any new strats. He doesn't have to really incorporate anything new. It's just, okay, you can do this thing faster. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not a big change. It's not Herculean effort. And already he's gotten green cycle and he's improving his PB, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, like I said, I just want to get this out there because I think people don't give themselves enough credit as far as knowing how to improve. You know, you don't think you're good. You think you're too slow, and you're just like, oh, I just have to play faster. But you know, just a little bit of analysis will go a long way. This is my first time doing a video like this. I have some other topics in mind that I might want to talk about, but let me know if you have any suggestions or if you think this was helpful.